Taffy Brodesser-Akner's novel Fleishman Is In Trouble officially has a TV adaptation that's up for streaming on Hulu. The 2019 novel garnered plenty of brilliant reviews when it was released, so of course one has high expectations for the miniseries too. On top of that, both Claire Danes and Jesse Eisenberg revealed how they found the series so relatable in a recent interview. Keep watching to see what they had to say. First up, the main cast for Fleishman Is In Trouble talks about the show's relatability. Claire Danes and Jesse Eisenberg played the role of a divorced couple in Fleishman Is In Trouble, and honestly, we're here to see them execute all the complexities of adulthood and its jarring realizations. Anyway, the thing we're supposed to be talking about is how both of them found the show incredibly relatable. While things didn't work out all too well for Toby and Rachel in the series, and they're already divorced when the first episode begins, according to the social network star, there's still something about their relationship that almost everyone can relate with. Relationships are hardly ever static. You don't stay in a fixed emotional state when you're in one. Things happen and sometimes they go wrong, so much so that inevitably bad moments take place. Eisenberg went into great detail talking about this, and then he mentioned something very crucial. It's how, despite those bad moments, you have plenty of good ones to remember. Even though the show starts with a relationship that fell apart, it's still worth remembering that once the couple shared memories of connection, and that's how all relationships are. Then, according to Claire Danes, the focus is in how Toby and Rachel's relationship was full of problems and whatnot. In fact, we see the couple have moments of healthy interaction, and it makes us see how things could have been if they had been a little different. And that's the thing. We've seen too many glamorized relationships, but in real life, there were so many nuances to consider, and Fleishman Is In Trouble sheds light on exactly those things and makes it so relatable. Now for how Eisenberg considered being on the show an incredibly rich experience.
Could have predicted that there was such life in him yet.
We will see how this all pans out for Toby. Stream FX's Fleishman Is In Trouble only on Hulu.
Fans of Brodesser-Akner's novel were incredibly excited to finally see the book turned into an adaptation. And as you can imagine, a lot of work went into making sure the show didn't stray too far from its roots. Eisenberg, who plays the role of Toby in the show, talked about the entire thing as a very wonderful experience. He saw the team go back and forth on how to execute the things mentioned in the book in a way that would capture the true essence of the novel's central theme. In fact, Brodesser-Akner took an active part in developing the script for the show, and according to Eisenberg, it was pretty impressive seeing her turn such an incredibly lengthy novel into something that was easily boiled down into a couple of episodes. What's more, the story itself is so rich with detail, and it must have been pretty delightful for the 39-year-old actor to be so thoroughly involved in the making of the show. Moving on, Claire Danes on Toby and Rachel's relationship in the show. The Homeland actress had plenty of insights to share about what she concluded about Toby and Rachel, the main protagonists of the series, and their relationship. Danes found it really realistic the way the show depicts how Toby and Rachel, at some point in their lives, harbored great love and mutual respect for each other. But the sad reality was that they eventually lost both things along the way. That perhaps explains a little why things didn't work out for them. But the four-time winner of the Golden Globe Awards admitted that despite how Toby and Rachel's relationship seemed a bit intriguing, it was also ultimately very tragic. After all, we all hope that in the end things will work out. So to see a story where things don't, yeah, it can certainly be a bit depressing. Up next, what was it like for Claire Danes and Jesse Eisenberg to work together? This is the first time we saw Danes and Eisenberg together on screen, and honestly, they really gave it their all. In the interview, both were asked what it was like working with each other for the first time. You would expect that they might have spent some time together before shooting began in order to grow a bit familiar, but no, that didn't happen. The two had to act out the role of a divorced couple, and Danes mentioned having a couple of cast dinners with her co-actor Eisenberg, and how it was really helpful before rehearsals for the show began. After all, it's no easy job playing out the role of a divorced couple if you don't know much about the person you're acting with. Fortunately, both Danes and Eisenberg immediately clicked with each other, and according to Danes, it didn't require too much effort to develop a sense of familiarity. In that sense, working together was pretty easy for them. In fact, Eisenberg even called Danes the best because working with her was very engaging and comfortable. Coming up, at the heart of the show is a series of mundane domestic troubles. The show begins with Rachel dropping off their kids at Toby's place a day early, and then she vanishes into thin air. For those who haven't read the book, that sounds like a promising mystery thriller, but trust us, it's far from that. In fact, the series concentrated on highlighting various domestic problems, and for some of us that sounds pretty monotonous, but it's done with great sophistication, and that's what makes the show such a delight to watch. It's how they unpack all these day-to-day things, and how it affects the central two characters that make the show worth watching. Perhaps it's how the series continually asks the question, what did we do that we're at this point in our life, that makes it a pretty engaging series. What's more, the series covers a wide range of everyday topics. The only downside to the show is that it tries to pack the book and its details into a mini-series. At times, it just feels like way too much is happening at once. So yeah, it ends up being a bit all over the place with how it can come off as too fast-paced sometimes. There are just 8 episodes, and they range from 45 minutes to an hour long. So exploring all those complex, emotional dynamics of a divorced couple and their mundane lives, it can seem a bit hard to pull off. The one thing that still makes it better is how Eisenberg and Danes portray their characters. So even if the plot becomes too much to follow, we've got these actors' brilliant performances to look forward to. Moving on, how Fleishman Is In Trouble explores divorce and its impact. The main theme of the story in Fleishman Is In Trouble is how things sometimes don't work out. We see Toby and Rachel have their fair share of arguments, but we also get glimpses of how once upon a time they had immense feelings for each other. The writers did a really good job showing how these things are hardly ever so black and white, and that there's no one person to blame for things. Each of us carries a lot on our shoulders, and it ultimately plays a role in how things turn out in the end. There are scenes where you'll find yourself absolutely over the moon because the characters are in the same mood, and then trouble will come their way and you'll find yourself, once again, sympathetic for what they're going through. For some of you, it might seem like just another show that depicts a boring white couple and their multiple relationship problems, but really go beyond the first episode. There is a lot of sentiment in this show, and it's going to make you want to keep watching. The way they've shown that matters like divorce bear a huge impact on a couple's life is very eye-opening. What's more, we see the characters individually unpack their share of traumas, and it makes for a very engaging watch. Things get heavy at times, seeing the subject matter of the show, so be prepared to have some tissues next to you. There's also the promise of Danes and Eisenberg's great acting. They really don't disappoint in this one. Finally, how the series is a poignant meditation on adulthood and its many regrets. In the end, everything in this show centers around adulthood. Of course, it's not the same as the book because we've got just 8 episodes, but it's still a pretty good adaptation at the end of the day. The show's exploration of people's emotions and the vulnerability that comes with opening up is so on point. Seeing how we're witnessing a divorced couple go through some challenges in life, you can expect to witness them go through the motions of regrets. That's just how life works. Perhaps the thing that makes this series such a good watch is how they don't show life through a rose-colored lens. It's as real as it gets. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think about the series? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.